And what's even more fascinating is the people who say that the full sugar soft drink is better for you than the no sugar soft drink. That has come from a generation of uneducated people. Hello and welcome to another vlog on YouTube and podcast on Spotify by the Fit Minds podcast. Coach Mariah Jean here. I only just decided what podcast I would be doing today, the topic. I'm trying to do more podcast topics on the things that I guess are commonly asked questions and topics that pop up in conversation with clients, and certainly as well debates that I'm getting into people with on the internet. I'm a sucker for a good debate. I want to start the podcast with that this episode is inspired by a hater, and not really a hater, maybe a disliking, I would probably call it, but we were doing some outreach, chatting to our followers. That's what we do. You might have noticed I chat with you guys because I don't really believe in just putting content out there. I actually really want to connect with you. Anyway, and I messaged a lady who followed me and was striking up a conversation about eating and everything, because it looked like she was into healthy eating and the like. And her response was, I used to follow you, I used to go to your talks and things, I've seen you present live, and then I discovered that the way that you preach things and the way you talk, it just doesn't align with me. And this doesn't happen very often because I probably don't know about people who unfollow me, heaven forbid. I don't care, just so you know. But it was fascinating, the conversation, because you don't often get to have these conversations with people. And I was like, I'm curious, what didn't align with you anymore? I wanted to know. I was like, man, did I offend her? Did I piss her off? So I can keep in mind for future that maybe this may not be the approach to take. Maybe I've hurt someone's feelings and I went too far or whatever. And she said to me, and it was fascinating because I was like, racking my brain, and I was like, I'm just going to do some research. So I looked through her followers and I looked at the pages she followed, because I was like, sure, this is going to give me an idea of why I've pissed her off. And it was like keto, plant-based. There was all these fad diet pages that she was following, low carb, carnivore, and it just was all this conflicting types of different diets. Organic, this shit that people buy. It's shit. It's absolute bullshit because it has a label. People like it because it has a label, and they can tell people, I'm doing keto, I'm doing carnivore, I'm doing whatever the fuck we've decided to call it this time. I'm doing the complete opposite of what I probably need to be doing. And she said to me, it's because you encourage people to drink diet soft drink. A little bit of an antagonism going on in this video. I have just for those of you listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it's a 0 sugar Coke here, a big bottle. Oh no, I'm going to drop dead as soon as I have a glass of it. And she said you encourage people to drink diet soft drink and processed food. And I don't like that because I'm on my health journey, and she's not going to listen to this podcast because she doesn't like me, so that's okay. I'm on my health journey, and I'm all organic, and I like growing my own food. I like the idea of that. That's cool. But it's all natural. It's this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I said, okay, that's awesome. I really do hope that brings you all of the happiness and health in the world. And I think it's fantastic that you are on a health journey and that you are eating to nourish your body and you're eating well and you're eating whole foods. It's absolutely something I endorse. And I sent her a picture of my plate of what I was eating for the day. I was in Fiji. And it was wholemeal toast with baked beans, eggs, tomato. It was mushrooms, I think the only things on the plate that were slightly processed were maybe the beans and maybe the toast, because you have to process bread to make it. But it was really interesting. I said to her, just because I talk about that you can eat processed foods, that you can have a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero, that you can, engage in this type of eating style, it doesn't mean I mean that that's all you eat. And so I want this podcast to honor this wonderful woman who brought to my attention how toxic it is to go around preaching to the world that everything must be absolutely clean, organic, natural, not processed, otherwise you're the devil and you've sinned, or it's just this, you're going to die. Your body will tell you in more ways than one if it doesn't like what you're doing to it and what you're eating. And we still, and I'd love to get into a debate with you about this because I will bring up the studies, have no evidence, zero evidence to support that consuming diet soft drinks, at least if you have 1 a day, 2 a day, consuming a small amount, and it is considered to be a small amount, daily for the rest of your life is going to cause any harm to your health. And this isn't, I'm not making this up. Aspartame is a sweetener, okay? Like any other sweetener, sucralose, etc. And it doesn't have a lot of calories in it, okay? Now, it's a preservative technically, but no, sorry, it's a preservative and then we have sweeteners, right? And so a lot of people get confused about these and they think, oh no, 990 and all these numbers and there's all this Instagram bullshit like, you eat this, you're gonna die. If that's all you eat, maybe, right? Processed food is just that it's gone through a process for it to get to where it did to be in your mouth, okay? Let me pick up some things, I'll show you what's processed. Baking powder, processed. Coconut oil, now processed because it's been put in a bottle, right? Macadamia nuts, technically processed because we have opened them and put them in a bag. This beetroot, it's gone through some sort of process, someone dug it out of the ground. Probably as close to a whole food as you're ever gonna get is fruits and vegetables that you get right in the fresh food section. You can't fucking live off these things though, because they are great for you, they are, and you should have them in 80% of your diet. But you also need other shit, like meat, processed. Processed, gone through a process. These dates, medjool dates, also processed because they had to be dried and picked, blah, blah, blah. Cacao powder, processed also, okay, because it comes from a cacao bean which then is turned into a powder which is processed. Eggs, some kind of form of process, kind of out of the chicken's bum, but then the chicken's been bred, specifically bred for the egg making, so maybe we could just say GMO, I don't know. And this is the thing, right? People are getting so fucking tied up on eating as naturally and as close to the earth as possible. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't do that. But where they are then passing on what ends up becoming disordered eating patterns to their children. And I cannot shout this loud enough that if we do this, if we preach nothing but clean eating, right? You can only eat clean. One of two things happens. Number one, we then demonize anything that isn't that. And then when we consume it, we feel guilt. Extreme guilt. And the second thing is we don't always get the desired outcome that we wanted. We think that clean eating then results in a healthy body. We think that clean eating alone is enough. But then we see people who eat really clean and they are overweight. They have heart problems, they have cholesterol issues. How is that so? And then they think to themselves, well, I eat really healthily, so I must just be a genetic freak. I must be someone who's just, not in a good position to lose weight. It's my genetics. And that's what they do. They sit there for years. They eat clean, they eat really well, but they can't lose weight. And we see it all the time. I have someone quite close to me, one of my family members who doesn't have social media, who eats clean, very clean, and is overweight. That's how it is. Now, it's because of the overconsumption of calories. No matter how clean you eat, I cannot stress this enough, no matter how clean you eat, your calories still matter, right? So no matter how high quality the fuel is that you put in your body, if you put too much fuel in, it will pour over and spill into the edges. There will be leftovers, which will store. Yeah? You can overconsume healthy food. And no, you do not need to just eat clean. A lot of people switch off if they are like strict clean eaters because when I say to them, hey, by the way, you can have, and I'm going to open it on camera because this is the most interesting thing I've done this entire episode. You can have diet soft drink, okay? And I do not know one single person who has died as a result of drinking a diet soft drink, right? You can have one of these a day, 2 of these a day, 3 of these a day, in fact. The evidence shows that you would need to have something like, I think it's like 40 cans, it's something ridiculous, per day for a long time. We're talking like years on end for this shit to start to eat your insides, yeah? And what's even more fascinating is the people who say that the full sugar soft drink is better for you than the no sugar soft drink. That has come from a generation of uneducated people, especially in the field of nutrition. It will never come from a nutritionist or a dietitian's mouth. You will never see a fully qualified, registered and insured practicing nutritionist or dietitian saying that diet soft drink is bad for you, ever. So whatever random black hole that you've pulled this bullshit information from on the internet, put it back and then never think about it again. So I'm going to drink my diet soft drink on camera. I know, you're welcome. It doesn't hurt you to have some processed foods. This has next to no calories in it, maybe 1 or 2. This is a great alternative to soft drink. This is a great alternative to juice even if you are trying to lose weight or not trying to gain weight. And I fully support and condone the idea that 20% of your diet can come from more processed foods. So I'm going to pop into my cupboard and I'm going to show you. I'm just going to come back in a second. Okay, here is an example of a processed food that we have in our household. Now these are fun-sized Snickers bars. There is probably not a lot of nutritional content to this. So we've got 302 kilojoules, which is roughly 7 to 80 calories or something like that per small bar, 15-gram bar, 1.3 grams of protein, it's a little bit of protein, fats 3.5 grams, predominantly it's going to come from saturated fats, we know that. Not great for you, doesn't mean you can't have some in your diet. 1.2 is saturated, carbohydrate 8.7, sugar 7.8. And this is where a lot of people get tied up on this whole, like, I must eat healthily. They look at the sugars, oh no, the sugars are really high, you know, I shouldn't be having this because it's got lots of sugar in it. Newsflash, all carbohydrates contain sugars. If you want to go low carb, sure, you'll cut out sugar, but your brain needs sugar to function. Sugar is not bad. The only thing that sugar is directly linked with doing, like, as in a health concern perspective, directly responsible for, sugar is directly responsible for tooth decay. High sugar foods, right? So submerging your teeth in sugary things often. That kind of makes sense. If you don't have tooth decay and you brush your teeth every day, you're probably not consuming too much sugar. And in some cases, you need to consume more sugars to support the exercise that you're doing. So there is such a thing as needing more sugar than what the daily recommendations might be, because that's based on a person who doesn't move much. Sodium, 40 milligrams. Okay, milk solids, vegetable salt, like you look at all these ingredients and it's so funny. People walk around shopping centers and they go like, oh no, vegetable, blah, vegetables, meh. You know, carrot, no, chocolate, blah. It's still bad for you, you're gonna die. Not true. No, and to be honest, like this actually isn't really that bad. Like the ingredients are pretty solid, like peanuts, nougat, sugar, peanuts, caramel, glucose syrup, solids, cocoa butter, vegetable oil, a little bit of that, vegetable fat, salt, emulsifier. What does get scary is sometimes you look at a packet and there's like 60 ingredients. You know, it's funny. One of the foods I've seen that has the most ingredients is gluten-free bread. It's insane. People think it's a really healthy option and then there's like 50 ingredients to make it gluten-free. And it's not to say it's unhealthy, it's just we have this like idea of what's healthy and what isn't healthy, but we will then change our perception of it based on what we've seen on the internet or our doctor has randomly told us, right? Like someone who doesn't have the qualifications to prescribe nutrition changes to you. They don't. Some might if they've done an extra subject in nutrition, but most of the time they don't. And so we're just randomly grabbing like facts and pieces from the internet, Google, you know, ChatGPT, and it forms this bias of what we believe truth to be versus an actual qualification, such as a nutrition or dietetics degree, which for some fucking reason people don't seem to take seriously. Like, you're more than happy to hire a lawyer who has a law degree and go, yeah, I trust that guy, he's a lawyer, he's got a degree. But then as soon as a nutritionist or a dietitian starts speaking who has a degree, you switch off because you are so determined to listen to the bullshit crap you've learned from magazines and YouTube and, you know, mainstream media that coming from the mouths of people who've got no fucking clue and who are speculating and who are doing it for clout, who are literally telling you the wrong thing for attention because they know it sounds exciting. They know it sounds, yeah, that sounds legit. People want to grab onto ideas like only eating clean food because that then feels good. It's like either whole I'm all good or I'm, you know, all bad. I'm either eating shit or I'm eating really good, and that's not true. And we see it all the time. We see people with dieting as well. They're either dieting or they're eating, you know, overeating. So there's like, they don't understand there is a middle ground, and the middle ground is 80% whole foods, 20% fun, you know, like little bits here and there. If you can look at your diet to mostly come from, and I just literally had my lunch before, right? Which was actually in beef mince, beans, a wholemeal wrap, cucumber, it was leftover Mexican, cucumber, carrot, spinach, light sour cream, and some salsa. That was that was my lunch. It was a balanced meal. It had the protein from the meat, had fiber from the beans, it had veggies, it had cucumber and carrot, it had vitamin A from the carrot, magnesium from the cucumber, hydration as well from the vegetables because it has water in it, and from the light sour cream we're getting some calcium, and from the wholemeal bread we're getting folic acid. There's also some B vitamins in the meat, right? I want to bet that if you research each one of those items that I just gave you, it's going to come back and tell you it has those exact things in it, right? Those vitamins and minerals. The problem is these people who are listing random shit off to you on the internet, you're not actually even fact checking what they're saying. So the unqualified professionals that are going into things and going, broccoli is bad for you because broccoli contains this, or they're saying, you can't have diet soft drink because of aspartame. And then you look for the bias article that supports what they've said about aspartame, but then you don't look for the other side, and you don't even look for, well, hold on, what do the people who should actually know the most about this, nutritionists, dietitians, because it's food, it goes in your body, we know, right? Brain surgeons do brains, okay, right? There are certain people for certain specialties. Heart surgeons do hearts, podiatrists do feet. We do fucking food and liquids. That's what we do. That's what nutritionists do. That is our shit. And if you don't trust us, then you have a serious problem, and you should probably wear a tinfoil hat and go and live underground as a lizard person, because that's the extent you're going to here. You're literally deciding to go against the grain of science and maths. I've always been a person who trusts in science because science is all we ever know, or the only information we have, right? And outside of that, we are just guessing. Science updates and changes with time, and guess what? We change with it. Nutritionists, we do. We used to believe that it had to be 95% whole foods, and now we understand that processed foods aren't as bad as we make them out to be. So understand that no, you do not need to just eat clean to lose weight, okay, and maintain health. You can eat balanced, small amounts of the processed food. No, you will not get fat from chocolate if you have a small amount that fits in your macros and calories. What we need to use as a really good guide of whether or not you are meeting your requirements is if you are ticking the boxes from the different food groups. If you are having some calcium from dairy daily, obviously if you're dairy intolerant, dairy free. Or if you're vegan, trying to get dairy from dairy sources that are plant-based, okay? It's much harder. But we need to make sure you're having enough fiber. Fruits, vegetables, grains. 25 grams for women, 35 for men. If you don't know, start tracking your food. It will tell you how much fiber is in it, or you can look up how much fiber is in those fruits and vegetables. You need to have enough fiber, eat voluminous meals, and make sure that you feel fuller for longer, because that is the priority. And then you fill the remaining calories with the small processed stuff. But it's not a case of black and white. If you do take the approach of only eating clean, you will crash and burn, and it will not guarantee fat loss. Okay, that is it from me. I'm going to finish up because I don't want to make this podcast too long. If you want to talk more about clean eating, losing body fat, and maintaining health, message me and we can get into an argument. Thank you. Goodbye.